When I asked you what I should do for my next daily doodle, a lot of you asked for Indoraptor versus Indominus Rex. Well, your wish is my command. G'day there folks, I'm Beanie, you're watching Beanie Draws, and with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom nearly here, it's time to ramp up my Indoraptor drawing collection. And thanks to all your suggestions, I decided to draw it facing off against Indominus Rex. Now, while this isn't a tutorial, I can still talk you through the process of how I went about drawing this. Now, to start off with this drawing, like I do with all my drawings, I began by blocking out the basic layout of the image. So that's drawing somewhat of a basic stick figure to start off with, drawing a bunch of different shapes and forms that will eventually turn into the body and the limbs. Luckily for me, I already have somewhat of an idea of how I want this to look. I wanted the Indoraptor to be in the foreground, with the imposing size of the Indominus Rex approaching from the distance. So, to get this pose done, I had to think three-dimensionally, and that can be very difficult when you want to get a 1 or 2 point perspective angle to look dynamic and dramatic. Drawing the Indominus Rex was pretty easy for me. I simply laid it out the way that it appeared in the Ankylosaurus fight. Indoraptor is a bit trickier. I used its legs from the first shot of the first trailer, its body and head from the shot of it on the roof, and then I tried to incorporate its arms in a crouching form. And then I wanted to get its tail flipping in view, but without dominating the view to give it a bit of a dynamic action stance. And then from there, it was basically blocking out the shadows in the form of the Indoraptor. I wasn't sure just how much detail I was going to have in the body. I basically just wanted to focus on the form, the shadows and the highlights, and to get a super dramatic atmospheric style to it. The legs and arms were fairly complicated because I had to depict the Indoraptor's long, lanky limbs and bending them in a way that showed it was about to pounce. I was fairly lucky with this one though, because I didn't really need to change it all that much. You'll sometimes see in my other videos that I find leg placements to be a bit difficult to get right sometimes, but this time I seem to have been able to draw it with the first attempt. Once I was sure that I had the body position down, it was fairly easy to get the rest of it to look like an Indoraptor. All you have to do is put in that light orange dark yellow stripe along its side, which doesn't go over its hip or its shoulder joint, you'll notice. And then, it's simply a matter of focusing on the basic forms of the scales, which seem to be rectangular in shape, as opposed to Indominus Rex's rounded scales. Contouring your lines to Indoraptor's form will help shape it out and give it more of that rectangular scale style. It's a dark dinosaur, so you don't really have to worry too much about the details. What we're focusing on is form, shadows, shading, and highlights. It's a bit like an impressionistic painting in that regards. It's all about laying down the impression of detail rather than being too particular about the detail itself. And so for this reason, I'm only using a very simple wiggly white line, and that will do plenty to show the highlighted shine on the top of the scales. I found drawing Indominus Rex relatively easy. I've already done several Indominus Rex drawing videos in the past, so if you want a more detailed look into how I draw Indominus Rex step by step, be sure to click on the suggested video up above, and I also have an Indominus Rex playlist of all the different Indominus Rex drawings I've done in the past. Drawing Indominus Rex's skin was pretty easy for me. I didn't want to draw the scales individually this time, so I simply went with a light, scribbly, wiggly line like you do if you draw a tree if you're young. It's a good way of getting detail in there quickly without spending an exorbitant amount of time drawing the scales, because drawing scales can easily take several hours if you're not careful and you're not paying attention. I went with an outstretched arm for Indominus Rex's attack, similar to how I went about scratching Rexy in Jurassic World, and I'm pretty sure that if the two actually got together in a fight that the Indominus Rex would still have the upper hand, because she has massive claws, mass, and thick hide on her side, and they both have the same teeth. One area that might be considered cheating is the fact that I could actually hide Indominus Rex's layer or make it very transparent to make drawing Indoraptor's head easier. You don't get that luxury when it comes to traditional art, which is why I love drawing digitally so much now. It gives me the upper hand when it comes to drawing, and maybe too much, because when I draw traditionally now, I kind of miss having the ability to zoom into the detail. One downside, however, is that you actually have to draw the paper layer as well, otherwise you end up having a transparent drawing. And if you have a background color other than white, like you can see with this Indoraptor, it starts looking a little bit off. Essentially, I have to draw a paper layer, underneath the line art layer. And I've been doing this because I've been playing a lot more with background layers lately. I've been playing around with dark but vivid, high contrast, moody clouds to give a really dramatic cinematic feel. I've been playing around with different brush techniques using Procreate app, brushes like bamboo chalk, dry oil pastel, and one very fun but kinda cheating tool if you don't have it is the cloud tool and the light streaks tool. It's always fun to try out new techniques. And it's at this point that I also realized that the Indominus Rex was looking way too paper cutout looking, so this is also the first time that I had to color her. I used a combination of very pale pastel green, I guess it's called aqua, light blue for the highlights on the muscles because that's how the skin reflects the blue light, and upon further studying it appears that Indominus Rex isn't purely white or purely light blue. She actually has a lot of brown in her. Very subtle, so go with a very light layer of brown to fill in the midsections. I then used black and whites to bring out some of the details in her scales. Again, not going into too much detail, we're focusing on the impression of the detail, using light white strokes for the highlights. Bringing the Indoraptor back in, and I do the same for him, because apparently Indoraptor is a male. At this stage, I still see some glaring mistakes. There needs to be more shadows and more details in Indoraptor's feet and claws. I also found using a faint white outline underneath the foot gave just enough highlight and contrast, but without going into too much into the detail. Then it was a case of adding more shadows, adding some washes of blues and blacks over Indominus Rex for atmosphere, because if you look at mountains or cities from a distance, they have this pale blue or pale white tint. That's the atmosphere, and it'll help give your artwork some distance and spacing. And then last but not least, some lightning, and also a few tweaks and touch-ups and fixing up Indoraptor's head. So who do you think would win? Personally, while Indoraptor has speed and the ability to jump on its side, Indominus Rex has size and is shown to have thick, almost bulletproof skin. Her skin was more or less able to stand up to Tyrannosaurus Rex teeth, so I don't think Indoraptor's teeth would be much different. And while Indoraptor may have big claws on its feet, but Indominus Rex also showed that it has pretty lethal claws and is able to take down an Apatosaurus with ease. But it would definitely be an interesting fight, that's for sure. But I doubt we'll ever get to see such a fight because Indominus Rex has been shown to have drowned. Unless of course there's a hidden secret that we haven't been told of. Please, no spoilers if you've already seen the movie and you know something that we don't know. But it's pretty much assumed that Indominus Rex was killed in the last film and won't be coming back. And that's probably why I've been getting so many requests to draw Indominus Rex fighting Indoraptor. So give me your thoughts on this one. Who do you think would win? And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, now's the time to hit that bell notification so you can join the notification squad and be just as cool as the rest of my amazing subscribers. And then continue on this art journey with me by clicking on one of the videos that I've specially selected for you right now. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio for now.